What's up, everybody? Alex from Columbus here. Welcome to a very special edition of What's on Tap. I think this is number 22 or 23. It don't matter. It'll be somewhere. We have a special guest in the house. Say hello all the way from West Virginia. Please welcome. Sorry, I meant to say West Virginia. Americana Sam is here.
That's right.
In the flesh.
A lot of flesh. It's a lot of flesh.
Yeah, I was curious. How's your time been? Welcome to Ohio. Welcome to Columbus.
Thank you. Yeah, got here last night. We hit the scene.
Hit it, man. Yeah, well, hey, listen, we got a lot to do tonight, and so we could make this like a 4-hour video. We're going to try to trim that down a little bit more, but today was all about vinyl finds, man. I had to take them to 4 local stores. We're going to hit up another one tomorrow in Columbus, and we bought some records, man. That's what we do. Gary, if you're watching, we didn't spend that much, man. Just relax. We don't need your comments like, look at Scrooge McDuckling and his big head friend over there. Like, it doesn't need to be needed here.
That's right.
The point is, man, this is what community is all about. Sam's in town because we're seeing Paul McCartney tomorrow. We'll have more videos on both of our channels about our sexcapades and more. But this is a What's on Tap. And you can't have a What's on Tap without showing records. But first,
we got to tap into it.
We got to show some beers. Now, if you're paying attention, last week I showed and drank a really great beer from Trillium. I gave it 5 stars out of 5 stars. I wanted to save one for Sam. Sam.
Christmas came early.
That's right. So Sam's got a beer. I have another Trillium beer, a double IPA. This one's 8.5%.
Oh, well.
Lord.
You're the man here.
Called Bridge Over Duck Boat, which is like Timu, Simon and Garfunkel, I guess.
Shout out to Oregon.
That's right, I guess. This was in partnership with, collaboration with Vitamin C Brewing, who I'm not familiar with, but I think they're out of Massachusetts.
Cold and flu season.
So, we're going to get into this. I got a big hazy IPA. Sam's got a big hazy IPA. We got a cat that's going to cause a scene, but that's okay. And you ready to get into these?
Let's
maybe do a mutual pour.
A mutual pour.
All right. And we got the fancy glassware today.
Ooh.
You make sure you hold that up. All right, you ready?
This was a vase, and then he took the flowers out.
The pour.
And the cat. MGK, if you're watching.
Oh my God.
Colton. Well.
Oh, you a little hardcore there, big boy.
It's on everything, but you know.
Sam likes his big heads.
That's why I'm not wearing a hat. Maybe next video.
That's right. Well, held it up here. I mean, look at the haze on both of these, man. Just absurd, right? Beautiful glass. Beautiful, beautiful glass. You get that nostril in there.
That is tasty.
Yeah, well, it smells like tasty. Yeah, I mean, this one smells like a great hazy IPA too, right? Like they're not going to make a bad one, but
I mean, it goes right to the back of your throat.
Oh yeah, and just you don't even like I kind of said before, like you don't really get hops as much. You don't really get bitterness on the nose. It's just very like it smells more like juice, like hop juice. All right, you ready to make your way through a little bit of that and go in?
Let's just lop it off.
All right, hey, cheers. That's all right. Well,
that's really tasty.
Okay. I mean, you get some notes you want to talk about?
C flat.
Is that technically not?
C sharp. Yeah,
no,
it's correct.
C flat. Okay.
No, I mean, you can definitely taste. I mean, I'm not a connoisseur by any means, but definitely some orange. Yeah, and it's not a bitter IPA. I mean, yeah, people are afraid of IPAs. I was afraid until I turned 30. But yeah. No, I mean, yeah, it goes down smooth. I could definitely have that with a chicken dinner.
Well, it's pretty full bodied, right? Like it's thick, but it doesn't taste like 8%.
That's like whole milk.
Yeah, but it's not, you don't get like a burn or anything like that.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
And this is the same way. I mean, again, 8.5, but it's smooth. It's so crushable, so drinkable. I mean, it's halfway gone. Again, these are pints here. So there goes a granola bar. Yeah. Fantastic. 5 out of 5 all the way around.
Yeah.
Let's show some records, shall we?
We shall.
All right. So first thing we did, we went to, well, first some semi VCLT sort of thing. Yeah.
Well, something like that.
Yeah.
With the money exchanged.
Sure. That's okay. You want to go first?
Yeah. I knew that two of these were, two of these were coming my way. The third was kind of a surprise, but again, we had a friendly deal here. Yeah, Alex had a record that I had picked up on Whatnot, but it had the wrong vinyl inside. It was it was all new, but it is the Zombies. Where are we? Look at that. What is this called? I think it just called "I Love You."
I Love You.
What's the name of the record?
It's not on there though. It's hilarious, right? It's not even on the
It is. It's on. Oh, the title is not
Right.
though. But it's technically the first Zombies record in the U.S. The first record proper was called "Begin Here," but you've got great songs on here. "The Way I Feel Inside" is almost just like a cappella of just Colin, and then Rod Argent comes in later with the organ. But it's got stuff like "Whenever You're Ready," "I Gotta Get a Hold of Myself," "I Love You" is a big hit. "She's Not There" is the final track, which is
I was gonna ask where "She's Not There" falls.
it
in line.
closes.
Okay.
Yeah. So that would have been 64. Next, for the ones that I knew I was going to be purchasing here, those of you that know my channel know I'm a big fan of the Real Gone Music label and all the kind of quirky, cool reissues that they put out, and they've been really doing a good job because I know Alex is a fan as well of the Black Jazz label, which was very short-lived. But this is one of the few that I did not have. This is Doug Karn, Adam's Apple. Look at him back there, looking like he wants an apple. But yeah, just fantastic kind of stuff. I mean, Alex is a big coal mine guy. When you listen to Black Jazz records, you know what the Black Jazz is going to sound like. Kind of like the coal mine sound is there. But yeah, you've got Calvin Keys. He was another big Black Jazz guy. So happy to have that. And then Alex kind of threw this into. This is again the Zombies' greatest hits. This is a newer remaster done by Andrew Sandoval, who does a lot of stuff with the Monkees, the Kinks, all of those '60s reissue campaigns. So happy to have that. It's got all the big hits there. You can pause at will. If you know the Zombies, you know what's on there. So yeah, some bargain buys from Mr. Beard Vinyl here.
Heck yeah. So, I mean, he had those, and then Sam, in kind of a similar way, I think he accidentally bought this and then brought it up to me, and then kind of we made a little bit of a semi-trade. But it's part of the Contemporary Acoustic Sounds reissue series. I've got a bunch of these, and they're all fantastic. These are all records that were originally released on Contemporary and now being reissued. But this is Phineas Newborn Jr., A World of Piano. So this is a piano trio record. Side one, you have Paul Chambers and Philly Joe Jones. And side two, it's Sam Jones on bass and then Louis Hayes on drums. So I guess you have 40% of that first Miles Davis quintet on that first side, which is kind of cool. I don't know a ton about Phineas Newborn outside of just knowing that he's a fantastic piano player. So this is the first one I have in the collection, but super glad to have it. These are all audiophile, Bernie Grunman.
It's great.
Press the QRP, all that kind of stuff. So got that magical craft hype sticker that everybody loves and adores. So yeah,
That's right.
Excited for this for the old jazz collection.
Maybe tomorrow morning.
Oh yeah, I'd say so. So we'll get into it here. We'll go store by store. The very, very first store I went to was Used Kids Records. Talked about them a lot. Huge store, one of the probably the most well-known store in Columbus. They opened at 10, so we were there. They were the first place that we wanted to go.
After some donuts.
I think you got a couple records, and I got a few records.
Yeah.
Go ahead, take it away.
It's always weird when you do record crawls like a lot of us do, where you're like, oh, we got 5 or 6 stores to go to. How do you hold off on that first store when it's the biggest store that we went to of the day for sure? But I did a good job. I only picked up 2 records, though there were a lot, and nothing that I got today was incredibly exciting, but it was great to fill spots in the collection. The first is Bee Gees first there. Obviously, early Bee Gees, completely different from Saturday Night Fever, but big songs on here. New York Mining Disaster was a big song. To Love Somebody, which is just copyright. Holiday is another good song. On a holiday.
That's 2 strikes.
And then it's just kind kind of like Britpop. It's 1960. I'll say Britpop. You know what I mean? 1967.
That is
That cover there.
God. That is, and like the cover is kind of represents the music. I mean, this is like perfect psychedelic kind of like Baroque pop.
Yeah, Baroque pop is a great way to say it.
So good. And of course, it's hilarious too because it's Bee Gees' first, because it's their first international release. I think it was like they released 2 Australian records beforehand, right?
And I think one of those I actually might have picked up at another store. But
shit,
anyway, so happy to have that. I love getting all the early Bee Gees stuff. And the second one, you
That's
move,
a cover.
you jump ahead. Yeah, let's not get copyright here. No. This is Bee Gees' main course. The big song here, Nights on, well, a lot of big songs. Nights on Broadway.
Love that song.
Jive Talking, which we do a lot of.
Oh, yeah.
That's on Broadway. Yeah, Fanny Be Tender With My Love. That's another song that was kind of a minor hit. But still kind of like that, almost like that transition period of like they're really getting into like the peak of their powers. This is 1975. Mostly I got this because it was $8, pretty clean. And I was like, I love To Love Somebody. So like just that song.
When did that record come out?
Well, To Love Somebody was on the other album. This is 75.
Okay, so still before,
just before Saturday Night Fever, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, just solid stuff. I love the Bee Gees, but that's all I got at the first shot.
Yeah. I went pretty heavy jazz and soul. So first record, Jack, Vinyl Martini, if you are watching, this is a shout out to you because you tell me to buy these records. And I've been looking for this gal for a while. I'm on my CTI kick, and in fact, I think most of the records I bought today were from CTI. But this is part of the Kudu label, which was the more soul funk subsidiary of CTI. Esther Phillips. This is Black Eyed Blues. She's obviously she's a singer, but you have Ron Carter on here. Ron Carter is literally on like every album I bought today. Yeah. That man played everything. Pepper Adams on baritone sax. But from what I understand, just some really of the Kudu label stuff. From what I understand, this is some of the best stuff. So I'm really excited for this. And I don't see her stuff at all. Sleeve is a little bit beat up. Record looked good, but it was a good price too. So feeling good about that. Here's a CTI one I've been looking for a while. Not a crazy,
What a cover.
rare record, but the cover is struggling a bit, but this was like $8. It's Freddie Hubbard, First Light. This was one of the earliest CTI records, so this was 2013. Again, Freddie Hubbard's coming off of his Blue Note years. This came out in 1970 or 71. Super early, but yeah, again, Jack DeJohnette, who we just lost, on drums.
That's right.
Let's see, I think Ron Carter on bass again, Freddie Hubbard on trumpet and flugelhorn, and then everybody else kind of rounded out. So yeah, just another one of those sort of classic Freddie Hubbard CTI records. I'm only missing one now, Straight Life it's called, that I've been really looking forward to.
Legelhorn.
That's a stretch there.
I say, boy.
Yeah, you did. That's pretty good, actually. I do enjoy the joke. And here's a record I've been looking for a while, not on CTI, but this is some jazz fusion heavy, good stuff here. It's a Tony Williams Lifetime, Believe It. Tony Williams, of course, was drummer for Miles Davis in his second great quintet. But then afterwards, in the 70s, he was really leaning into the fusion stuff, and this is one of his best ones. Mostly buying this because A, I'm a huge jazz fusion fan, and B, because Alan Holdsworth is on this record. And I'm kind of an Alan Holdsworth completist when it comes to his actual solo albums aren't great because he's an incredible guitarist. He just wasn't a great composer of song. He wasn't a great song composer. But when he's on other albums, he is by far the highlight. So this being with Alan Holdsworth, was looking for this funky jazz fusion, burning stuff. Really glad to have that.
Coming out of the smoke on the back cover. It's like a Kiss concert.
Oh, look at that. Cute, huh?
I thought it was water damage.
That's right. So, yeah, that's it. That's what we got at Used Kids. From there, we went to RPM, or that's Records Per Minute here in Columbus. And Sam had himself a little bit of a day over there, so he got a lot of good stuff.
And also, it's RPM stands for the same thing everywhere you go.
Yeah, well, kind of.
Yeah, well,
because RPM is revolutions per minute.
Correct.
So it is records. They stand for records per minute.
You can tell I'm not from here.
Fucking, it's like
anyway,
import.
That's right. Well, got a few of those too, probably. Yeah. Again, people that don't know me, I'm a big Dylan fan, and I'm not like on this quest to get everything Bob Dylan on vinyl, but This is one of my favorite Dylan records. It was still in the Shrink New Morning for $10. People that know Big Lebowski, The Man in Me is on here. Buckles on the record. If Not For You, which George Harrison had covered just a little bit before, and so did, Sandy from Grease. That's also known as Olivia Newton-John, Gary. Went to See the Gypsy. Just all sorts of great stuff on here. There's also a weird couple of beat poetry kind of stuff, but there's Baby Bob. But $10, it was still on the Shrink, and it looked really good.
Great record.
I needed a couple of ELO records that I was missing. One of which Alex said at the store, this is kind of like an underrated gem. This is Time by ELO. A lot of people hate it. Not really any big radio hits. The song Hold On Tight is on here, which I think should still be a concert staple. He never really sung it after like that initial tour. But there's some good stuff on here, like Rain Is Falling from the End of the World is on here. On that great Jet Records label, which I love. It's all the ELO stuff. But yeah, Time by ELO, picked that up. Also picked up On the Third Day, which, look at that cover. They were going to put lasers all over you in the stadiums. We got Seth Avett here on the end.
That's a good joke.
Look at that. For the two people that like that.
Yeah.
Again, this is kind of, they're still more of a prog band. You've got a song called In the Hall of the Mountain King. But another kind of hit for them, Showdown, Ma Mama Bell.
I love that song.
Great tune. They killed a bluebird. Bluebird is dead. Sorry, Paul McCartney. Anyway, this looked really good. Again, another $10. And also, I've never noticed, did you notice Jeff, his belly button is sticking out there?
It's kind of like, it's like Temu Truffle Shuffle.
Wow.
You don't got to pay for that.
Well,
I love it. Yeah. That's a great, transition album. Right,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
was like coming from. I love Mama Bell. We used to play that in my band. It's just a corker, as they call it.
Set up to Ben Rankins.
That's what he says.
All right, so again, another thing that I've been doing is I've been trying to complete my Birds vinyl collection as well as Birds adjacent records. This was their album Farther Along, which was the last record that they put out before their subpar reunion album with the original 5 guys, which was just called Birds.
More on that.
More on that later. But Roger McGuinn looks like he's had some happy tobacco there.
Is that before Jesus?
I think just before, maybe just after.
It kind of looks like Jesus.
He does. Gene Parsons, one of my favorite members of the Birds. He was the guy that produced or that created the B Bender guitar with this guy, Clarence White, who's often voted as one of the better guitarists of all time. But that B Bender guitar has been used in country music. But Farther Along itself is an old gospel tune. They do a few of those stuff. They have a weird song about baseball called America's Great National Pastime. So, corker or not.
Baseball and races.
That's right. Yeah, nothing crazy here, but it's more like the Birds kind of country rock phase. This one, before we went on, I was starting to second guess my purchase here because I am questioning the what's the word, condition.
Sleeve looks okay.
The sleeve looks great. Yeah. This was $4. This is the Beach Boys Today. I know Alex is a fan of this one. Kind of like the Beach Boys again, maturing a bit. Even though Al looks like he stubbed his toe there. But this has the album version of Help Me Rhonda, not the version that became the big hit. But just some beautiful songs. It starts with a Dennis Wilson vocal, Do You Want to Dance, the old Bobby Freeman song. Good to My Baby, When I Grow Up to Be a Man. So, when I grow up to be a man, what will I be? Something like that. Please Let Me Wonder, one of Brian's just prettiest songs. Kiss Me Baby. And then another hit, Dance, Dance, Dance. And then they also have, a bull session with the Big Daddy. They talk about cheeseburgers.
Glenn
and stuff.
Calloway.
Yeah, Glenn. 2 more here. Yeah, this is one of the records that I believe came first before the Bee Gees first. This is 2 years on the Bee Gees. This has Man for All Seasons is one that I recognize. Lonely Days is the song that's on here that I was singing quite a bit. Yeah, not a lot that I know here on this record, but again, if it's early Bee Gees, I want it, and it was $5, and the wax looked good. And then lastly, sorry for all this. I'm a big Christmas music guy, and if I see records that are decent, I'm gonna pick them up. This is Lou Rawls, who's one of the better soul singers of the. I guess he started late 50s and kind of was big from that point until the 70s. Just a great baritone singing voice. He does, all the Christmas classics on here. And then some songs that I'm not familiar with, but very happy to have this. It's a Capitol record there, and it was $5 with the punch out there and the little Capitol record hype sticker. So happy to have all of that going on.
$5.
Yeah.
Shoot, yeah. He did work there. At RPM, I walked out with 2 records, both CTI. Shocker. So the first one is part of the, they call it the CTX 3x3 series, which was kind of it was kind of like semi-reissue, but they're all double albums, and it kind of represented like just some earlier type of stuff. But I'm back on the Hubert Laws train. I love Hubert Laws. Flautist, I think he'd play some other stuff, but he's just kind of all over the place because some of his stuff, especially his live record, is like funk brilliance. And then some of his other stuff is more like third stream, classically influenced, like that sort of thing. But this is called In the Beginning. I think these were 2 records that were previously released in the early 70s or something. There's some kind of story with them. Yeah, guess who plays bass on this one? Ron Carter, great. Yeah. And on drums, Steve Gadd, classic. Dave Friedman on vibes, good stuff. So yeah, and Ronnie Laws, his younger brother, on tenor sax. So I actually love that cover. That's a kind of a cool cover. One of the cool things with CTI too that was really pretty important at the time, we're talking the early 70s, was just their packaging, right? Like super heavy, tip on there, all gatefolds, like hard cover, like laminate stuff. So that's another reason that people love that stuff. And next, we just listened to this.
Yeah.
I liked it. I think you did a lot too.
I did.
Was kind of looking out for this. I didn't realize until semi-recently that Chet Baker released an album on CTI, and it was sort of known as like his sort of, I guess, like semi-comeback record in a sense. 1974, She Was Too Good to Me. Obviously, at this time, for jazz people, Chet was going through a lot. Drugs, and he got like assaulted. He got like he punched in the throat or something. I don't know what's going on. But my thing, we're kind of joking about this because I have said before, like, I'm not a huge fan of vocal jazz. Chet Baker's voice to me is inoffensive. It just doesn't like get me excited the way it gets Sam excited.
True.
So he was just, he's over there just like, hello. I'm like, play the trumpet, boner. Like, figure it out. But Sam's over there. He's like, God, I love this guy's voice. I'm like, yeah, whatever. But yeah, this was, I'm not going to call it Grail, but it's kind of cool. Again, it's Chet Baker's only release on CTI. Great lineup. Bob James was on keys. He's killing it on here. Who's on bass?
Ron
Carter on bass again. Paul Desmond, the great Paul Desmond on saxophone. Jack DeJohnette's on here. And Steve Gadd's also on here. So it's kind of, again, like the whole CTI family, very similar to, Blue Note or some of those other labels where it's like everybody's playing on everybody's records all the time. So those are the 2 that I bought. From RPM.
We were saying, listen to this because he does a version of Autumn Leaves, which every jazz person did like 100 times. Very much fits for this time of year because here in Columbus today it's cloudy, but the leaves are popping. It's like probably one of the last big weekends of color that we're going to be getting.
Yeah,
because the rain's coming. So like we were listening to this, we were like,
we're under a freeze warning next week. It's going to be in the 20s.
Well,
can't wait.
Sounds like I'm going to be stuck here.
Hard titties. Anyway, from there we went up the street to Lost Weekend Records, which is another Columbus staple. And so, yeah, show us what you got there, boy.
I got 4 records here. Let me start. I know. I'll go quick. This is the Earl Scruggs Review Bluegrass, but this is like because Earl Scruggs was part of Flatt and Scruggs. They were the theme song of Beverly Hillbillies. Lester Flatt, the guitar player, wanted to keep more traditional styles. Earl was more into like the country rock scene that was happening. He was hanging out with the Byrds. He was hanging out with, like Bob Dylan, people like that. And so he put out a few of these Earl Scruggs Review records. A lot of them have like big artists on there, like Loudon Wainwright, Linda Ronstadt show up, and people like that. And then like they just kind of merge the banjo with electric guitar and stuff. But they do the song "Mansion on the Hill." I'm wondering if that's the Springsteen tune. Not sure. Watching the River Flow, the Bob Dylan song. Daydream, I think the Love and Spoonful. So they're mixing that kind of stuff. So I've never heard that, but I'm excited to listen. I'm also a big Monkees guy, and I'm working to get the different reissues of Monkees records. This is one that I've been wanting. I have the original on Cold Gems. This is Instant Replay that was put out by Rhino, I think in 1986, with the original Hype, which is cool. This is the first of 2 records that came out after Peter Tork essentially bought out his contract and left the group. So these definitely lean more into like the Michael Nesmith tunes, which I love. Again, no real hits on here, but some good stuff on here. There's a song called While I Cry, which is just this beautiful ballad that Mike sung. And actually, I got to see him do that. It's a very deep cut when I saw him and Mickey a few years back. So happy to have this, the Rhino reissue. And then I picked another Byrds record, Dr. Byrds and Mr. Hyde. This is, post Sweetheart of the Rodeo. At this point, it's only Roger McGuinn as the original member with kind of a rotating cast of characters here, one of which was Clarence White, who I mentioned earlier. But they do, again, like the Byrds do, Dylan songs, This Wheel's on Fire, Nashville West, which they did a few different times, Drugstore Truck Driving Man. That's a good song. Then they do like this weird medley at the end of My Back Pages, a couple other tunes. But yeah, produced by Bob Johnston, who did a lot of the Bob Dylan sessions. And then lastly, I picked up another Byrds related thing. This is the Souther Hillman Fure Band. Obviously, you got Chris Hillman, Byrds, Flying Burrito Brothers, etc. Richie Fure, who played with Poco and I believe Buffalo Springfield toward the later period. And then J.D. Souther, who wrote the song we were talking about earlier, Seven Bridges Road. He also wrote Heartache Tonight by the Eagles with Glenn Frey. He was really good friends with Glenn Frey. But again, I don't know anything about this. Again, I love Chris Hillman. He might be my favorite of the original Byrds. So I don't know how many of these songs are covers. They had another record of self-titled that I showed in another monthly music video on my channel, but hadn't seen that one in the wild. It was $5. There we go.
I believe this is where I start making shit up after I chug my beer. There's a lot. That's big April. So anyway, Richie Fure, I think, is from Springfield, Ohio, which is about an hour west. If you remember Springfield, they're the ones eating the dogs and the cats.
That's right.
Not to get political, but you all are fucking idiots. Anyway.
It's also the nuclear plant where Homer works.
More importantly. Absolutely.
That's right.
I picked up one record while I was there. Now, this is a record I always see. It's not a rare record. And I think I always just kind of looked at it like, I don't want a greatest hits comp of a band that never really had any big hits anyway, that sort of thing. And then I kind of looked it up and I was like, well, it's sort of like a reimagining of a release that never came out here in the States. And that is The Move, Split Ends. So this came out in North America. It was a North American only release.
Smells just good here.
In 1972. So that was kind of after, obviously, The Move had kind of gone away and ELO was picking up and starting. And so it's kind of like, okay, here's an opportunity to maybe capitalize on that. But it carries a lot of the tracks from Message from the Country, which was not released here in North America, I don't think, along with a couple of other like unreleased singles. So it starts off with Do Ya. A lot of people don't realize that Do Ya was Jeff Lynne tune, but it's a Move tune. So that obviously got brought over for ELO. And some other stuff as well down the line. So, yeah, and really obviously highlighting on the back here, Roy Wood, Jeff Lynne, Bev Bevan as kind of the...
It's like ELO Phase 1, really.
It really is. So, yeah, kind of excited. I like you. I love ELO, obviously. I like The Move a lot just because it's like, they're one of those bands no one sounds like The Move.
No.
They're just weird and the sort of, again, kind of Baroque pop, prog, it was psychedelic, kind of everything. So, yeah, excited to have that and then up to the Move section.
We're almost done.
And then we went to our last store, Elizabeth's. I've talked about Elizabeth's a lot. You know, mom and pop shop, all used stuff. You know, it's just, it feels a little bit more curated in the sense there's more time kind of taken into like organizing the stuff and pricing the stuff. So I got a bunch of records from Elizabeth's.
I got 3. I got 3 here. Again, I'll finish with that one because I brought it up earlier. This is just a cool one to see. I'm a big fan of, you know, acoustic guitar and you know, that kind of stuff. This is Norman Blake, Blackberry Blossom. Norman Blake was hanging out a lot with Tony Rice, who, you know, I'm from Virginia. Tony Rice is a big Virginia name. Big influence on the flat picking guitarists like Billy Strings, who's, you know, massive now, Molly Tuttle, people like that. But Norman Blake had a lot of these like great, like just like acoustic records of just him on guitar. This is on one of my favorite record labels, Flying Fish.
Ooh.
Look at that.
That's a cool, that almost that looks like a bootleg label almost,
It does.
but it's cool.
Yeah. If you know like Rounder Records, he was on Rounder, which is like the big, you know, country and bluegrass thing. But again, I don't know anything about this record. He does a song called The Rights of Man Hornpipe, which I think I've heard, Railroad Blues. But other than that, like I don't know these songs by name, but I mean, it's Norman Blake. It's 1977. I'm all in on that. Next, this is, I want to say this is the last album that Chris Hillman was on for the Flying Burrito Brothers. Again, they were kind of an offshoot band of the Byrds with like Graham Parsons and Chris Hillman kind of leaving the Byrds and starting this. They do some songs that were on other Byrds records like Devil in Disguise, but then songs that you would know like 6 Days on the Road, Don't Let Your Deal Go Down, Orange Blossom Special, Hot Burrito No. 2, you know, all the fixins. But I had to double check because I don't know a lot about the burritos. I had to double check this wasn't a comp because I'm like, I don't want to get a comp with stuff that I already have.
Isn't it?
It's not. No, this is I believe it's their 4th record. Last of the Red Hot Burritos.
Dude,
It says best.
I read that as the best of the burrito.
I did too the first time I saw it.
That's
Yeah,
hilarious.
so it's Last of the Red Hot Burritos. I guess I didn't say that.
That's funny.
And there's no like, you know, images of the band, so I was kind of thinking like, oh, it's just a conglomeration of like their first 3 records.
I will say, hold that up one more time. I will say, I can't tell. Whatever the name, like one of the worst names or best names, I don't know. But I always loved like their typeface of the logo.
Oh yeah.
I always thought that was so classy.
Yeah. I like it.
Yeah, I say typeface as if typeface was a thing in the early 70s.
Right, yeah, when they were hitting, the little paperclip on Microsoft. And then, I guess to kind of conclude the full circle here, I did pick up this, which I see in every record store I go to. This is just the self-titled Byrds record. Again, there's the Byrds, the original 5 with Gene Clark, who left just after the 2nd record. Obviously, David Crosby, McGuinn, Michael Clark. But the whole thing with this record was that these guys were all in solo projects. You know, McGuinn was doing his solo stuff at that point. Clark was hanging out with the Burrito Brothers. Hillman was kind of doing that with Manassas. Obviously, Crosby, Stills, and Nash. So they were kind of keeping the best songs for those projects. This album, you know, it kind of follows that trajectory of like the country rock that the Byrds were doing. But, you know, you kind of wanted a Byrds reunion to have, you know, some jingle jangle. And when you mentioned earlier at the store, you were like, you know, they have all these guys coming back. And they still do a bunch of covers of like, you know, like Cowgirl in the Sand, you know, About to Rain by Neil Young, For Free by Joni Mitchell.
See the sky about to rain.
So pick that up. It was $8. A lot of times you see it, it's like 15. And so it's pretty clean on Asylum Records. So yeah, I'm closing in on getting all those original Byrds.
Yeah,
So,
there's a great story about how Columbia obviously wanted to do that record, and then Asylum, which was Geffen was running Asylum. That was before Geffen Records. David Geffen was started running Asylum, and he was like calling up all the guys, and he's like, "This would be great for my new label," right? Because like most Asylum stuff you're thinking of was later 70s, not like because what come out like 72, 3, something like that.
I want to say 72. 73. Yeah.
So, and this was the place I went off a little bit, and I'll tell you this too. Like, it sounds so typical or so basic, but it's true. Like, I will go places, and then like I'll find an artist, and then flip through the artist, and I'm like, they don't have what I want or whatever. And I realize like there's so much stuff that's just in like the general B section, the D section that you completely forgot about because they're not. You know, they don't have a huge catalog. Like, they're not artists that are worth a card.
Right.
But that doesn't mean they're not great. And so like I forget about those though, and then I just start like fucking around and flipping and I find some stuff. So the theme of this is kind of a lot of bands that I was interested in based on members of that band who were doing other stuff. So the first record that I grabbed was this record by The Bears, which I could imagine is just the self-titled. I guess so, yeah. The Bears, and this is on Primitive Man.
Show that label.
Yeah, I gotta show this label. This is hilarious. Check out that.
Monkey Man.
That Primitive Man. So the Bears were sort of a new wave / power pop, sort of like that sort of mixture, but starring Adrian Belew, who at the time, I think this came out maybe 1980 or so. I'm kind of guessing on there, but Adrian's coming from. He was in Zappa's band, then he was sort of doing stuff with Talking Heads, with Remain in Light, and then would later go on to do stuff with King Crimson and all that kind of stuff. And I had heard about the bands a lot. A lot of people don't know that Adrian Belew is from Cincinnati. So this is like a Cincinnati band. And it's always like cool too, where it tells you to management by Umbrella. And it's like, go to Cincinnati sort of thing. So it's kind of a cool piece of Ohio history. And I had heard a lot about the Bears as sort of, when you think about Adrian Belew, you think about his solo work, but you don't think Adrian Belew in terms of his band. And so curious on this, and yeah, it's just a cool piece of history. It was $8, so feeling good about that. Now, this record does not fall within that sort of theme that I just mentioned, but I had been on the search for this record forever, and I kind of just gave up on it. And this is the self-titled debut from Bang. This sort of falls in that early 70s proto-metal, doom, hard rock, Midwest type stuff that a lot of people have like really wanted big reissues on this.
You wouldn't guess that on a cover.
Oh, right, exactly.
It was like a Move record.
It does, actually, very similar. And so, yeah, Bang was a band out of Pennsylvania. I think they released a couple records and then like reunited in 2014 or something. I've actually never listened to this record. I've just heard so much about its sort of importance in like the deep annals of sort of like proto-metal history. So never thought I would actually have, like an original of this. Again, this is not a super expensive record. This is probably about a $50 record. And they had it for $35. So I felt pretty good about that. And yeah, this was on, what was this on? Capitol. So yeah, kind of one of those, Velvet Underground type bands, not how they sound, but that sense of like, they didn't have a lot of people who listened to them, but the ones who did, they all started bands, right? So, was super happy with that. That was like oh crap, I can't believe I got this.
You found that like last minute in
the
shop.
Exactly.
Last couple minutes.
Yeah. Here's a fun one. That's a cover. This was like an $8 record. I'm pretty sure we got 15% off too. I don't know if you could caught
Did we?
But yeah.
Wow.
But this is a band, Missing Persons, Spring Session M. This is Missing Persons' second record. Now this I think also falls into sort of like new wave pop, that sort of thing, which typically I guess you can totally tell, which I'm typically not overly into. The reason I bought Missing Persons though, or why I was always interested in them, going back to the original sort of thing I was talking about, was that this was a band started by and led by Terry Bozzio and his brother Dale Bozzio. Terry Bozzio, one of the most well-respected drummers ever. He obviously played a lot on some of those later 70s Zappa records. He was also on that second UK and the Live UK record. So he's done so much more, one of the most well-respected drummers, which is so interesting of like, you go from like Zappa world and like prog fusion world to very clearly like new wave world. But again, it was this idea of like, oh, I'm going down like the Terry Bozzio sort of rabbit hole. Had always heard a lot. So yeah, I'm curious to see how much I love or hate this. But again, for $8 or whatever, I feel okay about it. Next, CTI. Another early CTI, 6010 here. So this was super early, but it's the great saxophonist Stanley Turrentine Salt Song. The big Turrentine one I want to find is called Sugar. I would love to have that, but this is Salt Song. I think this is more, let's see. You know who plays bass on this? Ron Carter. I was playing on every CTI release. Ron Carter on drums. You also have Billy Cobham Diodato's playing piano along with Horace Parlin, Eric Gale on guitar. You got violin. You almost have like a full string section here. So this is less in that sort of like funky CTI stuff and more in that sort of like Wallace Sound, lush string orchestrated CTI. And so a different sound, but still, Stanley Turrentine, his stuff on, both fantasy and CTI I really love. So yeah, fantastic.
You got a haul.
I know, I got a lot from here. Oh man, this is fun because here's the cool part: is I saw the cover of this and I was like, oh man, that cover's worth buying just for the cover. And then I was like, and it was produced by Jimi Hendrix.
Oh,
so I'm like, well, that's kind of cool. But it's Buddy Miles Express Electric Church. So this must have come out obviously late '60s.
Yeah.
But
69. One of those songs.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Maybe.
Obviously it had to be produced by Jimmy, so it did come out in the mid '70s. He did. Anyway, I love Buddy Miles' solo stuff is so good. I actually haven't listened to his like Electric Flag stuff ever, but like he to me was just like such a perfect representation of this fusion of like just rock and funk and soul, like that whole thing. And plus, I mean, just as a singer and as a performer overall, Jim McCarty's playing drums on here, playing guitar on here. You got saxophone playing, you got like a lot of different stuff. And so I think all of side A is, not all of side A, they kind of have it separated, but yeah, about half this record was produced by Jimi Hendrix, which was really cool. So, obviously, Buddy was part of the band of Gypsies, so that's how that tracks. But yeah, I'm excited to dive into that. And last and not least, I don't know, Glenn, if you're watching, Glenn should be watching. He would watch us even for 40 minutes. I need a cigarette. This is, it's obviously a reissue. This can't be the original cover either. But I would guess original first issues of this are, not able to be found. But it's a debut from Pentangle when they're actually called The Pentangle. So, obviously it's on Reprise Records. And we're just on like the single tone Reprise label. So I'm guessing this is probably a reissue of like 72, 73. Because I guess that debut probably would have come out in like 67, something like that. So, this is a style of music. I don't know. You're not really into like the Pentangle Fairport Convention sort of thing. You should be.
I should be.
Because I think like it marries. There's a lot of people who will call this stuff kind of like progressive folk. Same thing again with Fairport Convention, and just the melding of voices and the way the guitars play together and just sort of the full sound. I'm by no means an expert, but have really sort of been enjoying my experiences listening to Pentangle. So yeah, Terry Cox, Bert Yanch, Jackie McShay, John Renborn, Danny Thompson.
Rest in peace, Danny Thompson.
There's a track on here called Pentangling. So get that on.
I need to comb in my hair.
I guess so. So that is it. That takes care of what we're doing. You still got beer left?
I still got a couple sips there.
Oh, look at you go. Yeah, I'm empty. But tomorrow we got one more store to hit. We got a show tonight. That was a surprise. More on that later.
That's right.
And then we got a big show with Paul tomorrow.
Another record store.
Another record store. More food. We don't get big, boy. I don't get big. I stay big. Okay. Any parting words for the gallery?
It's good to be here in the Alex universe and to see Columbus in the flesh.
That's right.
It's been great.
Cool. Yeah, awesome. Well, with that, we're about 43 minutes and 42 seconds in. We got to go to a show. So thank you all for watching and laughing. And Sam, thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks. Oh, don't love that.
All right. Cheers, y'all. We'll see you on the next one.